So I think that we will start now as the time is 11:15 and 12:15 in our countries. So welcome. We might have some new participators in our seminar as well now, and I hope the ones that participated in the morning also find their way back. So in the morning we talked and presented the project partners from Finland, Sweden, and Norway, and what they have been doing and what they have been developing around the roots in the Nordic countries. And now onwards, we are going to take part of the second part called How to Sell and Market the Product with invited speakers from Finland, Sweden, and Norway. We have Andreas Hermansson from Visit Dalarna, Nina Forsell, Visit Arctic Europe, Göril Ovesen, Nordnorsk Reiseliv, Chris Lindqvist Karpelin from BVO Company, and Georg Sichel-Schmidt from Tourism Lyngenfjord that will share their knowledge and experience with us. We will, during this 3-hour session, we will have 2 short breaks of 10 minutes each. And with these words, I think I will give the word over to you, Andreas, and welcome you. And you can now upload your presentation.
Thank you very much. I will upload it straight away. Just bear with me a few seconds. I've learned this new amazing tool in Teams Live. I love it. Great way of showing presentations.
The same thing, just to say to the audience, you can post questions and comments in the chat box, or raise your hand afterwards when we have time for some comments and these questions to the presenters.
All right, can I start?
Yes, please.
Great, thank you. So my name is Andreas Hermansson and I work as a business developer for the destination company Visit Dalarna. My focus and area of expertise is outdoor activities. I have worked in the tourism industry all over Sweden for about 20 years now, and I have worked about 10 years of those up in Swedish Lapland. I worked at the Ice Hotel in Jukkasjärvi and the latest at Lapland Resorts up in the mountain chains. But about 1.5 years ago, me and my family decided to move to Dalarna when this position that I have currently now came out. So a little bit about Dalarna and our destination. So Dalarna is the 4th largest tourist destination in Sweden when it comes to guest nights, and this is after Stockholm, Gothenburg, and Malmö. It is the cultural mecca of Sweden, and this is also where there's also an abundance of locally produced food and beverages. Dalarna also has been a popular destination for outdoor recreational activities for a long time, and in winter, downhill skiing and cross-country skiing is huge, and in summer it's hiking and biking of all sorts. We are owned by our 15 municipalities. Oh, let's see now. Did my presentation went away? Can you still see my presentation?
No, it went somewhere.
All right. I apologize. Just give me a few more seconds and I'll put it back on. So it's not the perfect tool after all, using Teams Live. We'll come back up again really shortly. Just bear with me. Please let me know when you can see the presentation.
Yes, no, it's good.
Cool, thank you. Like I said, we're owned by our 15 municipalities of the region of Dalarna. And we're also owned by our now more than 700 tourism companies, and the number is growing every day. Here are some interesting numbers. In 2020, we had a tourism revenue in the region for about 7.2 billion crowns, which is a small dip from 2019 when we had a revenue for 7.5 billion. The biggest dip is from missing out on a lot of different sporting events such as Vasaloppet and Vansbrosimningen, which normally generates a lot of income for the region. At the moment, we have mainly domestic travelers, and they take approximately 86% of the whole market. International guest is about 14%, and our goal is to increase our international guests for about 20% by the year 2030. And by year 2030, we also aim to increase the revenue in the region to 12.5 billion crowns instead of 7.2 that we have today. We have several different strategies for doing this. My job is one of them, where me and my colleagues work with our companies on product development and how they can increase their revenue. We also increase our international B2B work the coming years, and we are also helping out in new developments across the region, where the new Scandinavian Mountain Airport is a good example of that. We have picked out different themed areas that we focus on, and I work with the outdoor themes the whole year round, both summer, spring, winter, and autumn. We also have different product areas. Taste of Dalarna is a collaboration between local food and beverage entrepreneurs. Culture Route Dalarna is a collaboration between different museums, art halls, and more. Biking Dalarna is where we put our main focus right now, because here is where we have the biggest demand and also the biggest will to spend money. Skating Dalarna is an ice skating route in winter, and hiking Dalarna is under development, but will in the end be similar to biking Dalarna, which is several different biking areas in Dalarna that together combine the biggest biking area in Sweden. And leisure cycling we will talk about now. First things first, when you put a leisure package together, it's important that you only promote safe routes and where there is not so much traffic or not so much heavy traffic, as previous talkers have talked about. If you're unsure about this, please contact your local DMO. The routes in themselves also needs to be interesting, and you need to make sure that there are places to stay, places that are interesting from a cultural perspective, or other interesting sites. It's also important to have places you can eat or buy food from, etc. Just as been mentioned before. This is how Visit Dalarna have packaged leisure cycling in Dalarna. And I'm going to change mode here now and go to window, and I'm going to show you our website. You should have it in front of you now. This is our English version on the Visit Dalarna website, and this is our cycling page. When we scroll down here, we have two main focus areas. Like I mentioned before, Biking Dalarna is a network of mountain bike routes and areas all over Dalarna. These are very popular and helps bring a lot of revenue into the region. And here are our leisure cycling trips. These trips that we have here is at the moment more of guidelines and suggestion for package tours. So when I scroll down here, you should see a number of different kind of suggestions. You can also see them on the map where they are. So when I click here, we'll take this suggestion here, trips around Lake Runn. This is an approved by Trafikverket, an approved regional cycling route. Which is great because this is more for daytime trips, I would say. So this is a perfect example of a route that you can package together with a hotel or other kinds of accommodation. And this is a day trip kind of a route. When you scroll down here, we have the same thing for all our different package tours or guidelines. We have description here on the routes. We also have facts. That's good to know if it's what the surface is. If it's here it's 75% paved and 25% gravel, for example. There's also suggestions where it's worth taking a stop and so on, and all kinds of more suggestions. These guide routes can also be found in our coming app, which will be a travel guide. All right, I'll go back. Our next step for this is to start packaging these tours together with accommodation and start promoting them as well out into the ether. I'm just going to go back to my presentation. Also, please feel free to go in and have a look for yourself on our website and just have a look around and see how we do different kind of things, how we promote things on different cycle tours and so on. Just waiting for the presentation to roll back up here on the screen. Here we go. All right. Here's a few things that you can think of when packaging leisure cycling or other cycling as well, for that matter. If you are an accommodation or if you have cottages or hotels and so on, it's important to have that guests can be welcome only for one night, because these people or these guests are on the move, of course. It's very important that you have a secured locked room for bicycles, because especially if guests are bringing their own precious bikes, they can be quite expensive, and it's very, very important that they feel safe to lock them in somewhere in the hotel or nearby the area, or if possible, bring it into the room as well. That you can offer a room to dry clothes and equipment, that you can offer full breakfast. It's also good to have information about regional touristic offers for cyclists and repair sets. Additional criteria that can be good to have or offer. You don't have to do everything about this, but it's nice to have at least a few of them. Suggestion for sustainable arrival and departure. If you can go to your destination with the train, for example, that's awesome. Can you offer transfer or pickup service for the guest? Perhaps bike rental, e-bike rental. If the guests come with their own e-bike, if you can have a loading station. Offer for day trips and so on. Luggage transfer from one hotel to the other or to the next campground. Cooperation with repair place. GPS rental possibilities. This is more a good thing to have if you do daytime routes and you come back to the hotel or the accommodation. VLAN inclusive, of course, and also lunchbox preparation. These are really, really good things to have and to offer when doing package tours. Okay, so this is how we at Visit Dalarna work with B2C. We start off with the travel cycle and everything that we produce to make sure that we reach the right guest on the right market, in the right mood, in the right time, as you know. To attract the guests to come to Dalarna, we work a lot with social media, and we try to drive traffic to our website and the site that you just saw. We also work with search word optimization, SEO, and we produce inspirational magazines that we later also publish together with a few bigger magazines in Sweden, like Mama and Lantli, which is the perfect target group for our area. You can also find our magazines online, and on our website you can book accommodation and activities, and very soon you can also book package tours for leisure cycling. We also have a contact center that can help out planning the guests' trips when coming to Dalarna. And right now we're also working on our own app, our Visit Dalarna travel guide, where the package tour suggestion also will be found. When the guests are here in Dalarna, we produce local newspapers that you can find all over Dalarna at different restaurants and stores. And we also have more than 80 info points where you can find all the information that you need to make sure that your visit to Dalarna is a success. And I'm going to finish off by showing you a short promo film for leisure cycling in Dalarna. It's only 45 seconds long, so lean back, relax, and enjoy the film. Now you want to go back to summer again, don't you? Cool. Thank you very much. That's all I had. I hope you found it interesting.
Thank you very much, Andreas. If not going back to summer, I was tempted to go back to Dalarna to eat some knäckebröd, näkkileipää. Looks
Every
really
day.
good. Every day, yeah. Do we have any questions or comments to Andreas? We have one in the chat from Arild. What is too much traffic in a safety perspective, according to you?
Well, according to me, according to Trafikverket, I'm not sure what that is in English. Maybe someone else can help me out with that. But Trafikverket has certain rules in Sweden, according to, and then it's a lot about different speed limits. So, for example, there can't be any more speed limits over 60 kilometers an hour, or there need to be a certain percentage of more than 60 kilometers per hour on that route. So Trafikverket has a great guideline on how to work with regional routes and also national routes and local routes. And those are the routes that we aim to market only when it comes to package tours here. And we have a few in Dalarna of those.
Thanks. In your example, you showed us, you also had indicated like the difficulty of the routes, but there perhaps that route was not graded according to difficulty. But do you have this grader in all your packages normally?
At the moment, we only have certain grades when it comes to mountain biking. So when it comes to biking Dalarna and different kind of biking areas, we have the same kind of grades as you have when you go to the ski slopes. It starts with green, blue, red, and black. We have not graded our leisure cycling routes yet, but I know that there are other regions in the nearby area of Dalarna that does that, and they grade them green if it's short, blue if it's a little bit longer, red if it's even more longer, and then black if it's super long. So you can also grade it like that, but we have not done that with leisure cycling yet.
Thank you. Seija had her hand raised.
Yes, thank you. It was really interesting. I think we have in our application that you are one of our benchmarking destinations.
Yeah.
The one in Sweden. So you are famous in that sense that we selected you. But I was thinking about this, that you have this kind of regional or destination quite compact in a way. How do you see the cooperation between entrepreneurs, for example, if it goes through some areas like in longer distance? So is it much more difficult because as I'm thinking of the Lapland tourist resorts, they are also compact and they can cooperate and make products. But if it's just a network of various entrepreneurs, do you see that difficult? And I have another question. You have worked in the north, so how do you see these possibilities of these northern regions?
I'll start with the first one.
Yeah, thanks.
It's definitely a challenge promoting routes going over different regions because each region has their own task and their own their own agenda, so to speak. But we are trying to collaborate with the nearby region, Örebro, Gävleborg, for example, which also have great cycling routes. And especially tour operators, they don't care, of course, about the different regional borders, and they package all over in between. So I think they are good examples of looking how you can package. There's a Swedish biking company, for example, in the nearby area that does package tours all over Sweden, and they don't care about the borders. And I think they are a good example to look at. Katarina Rundbacke. The other questions was that how I saw the. Can you please repeat the question?
I know it's always difficult to have two questions at the same time.
I should write it up.
Yeah. So how do you see the possibilities for cycling, development of cycling in the north of Sweden and north of these countries?
I see a lot of potential, of course. It's a really interesting region. Finland, Norway, and Sweden has so much to offer up there in the north. The big challenge, of course, would be the distance, as was shown also as a few examples there. But I think, I mean, you can of course offer long different kind of leisure routes, but you should also have shorter routes. And most guests coming up, they are also a lot more into soft adventure. So it doesn't really have to be that long routes either to make it interesting. It can be around the different municipalities, or it can be in the small cities or in the villages. And there's tons of interesting things to see in the north. It's an amazing region, so there's a lot of possibilities of doing different kind of tours. So don't make it too big, is my suggestion. Keep it small and simple and think soft adventure. But you can also, of course, have the longer suggestions for that kind of people that wants to do that as well. So it's a big variety, and cycling in general, we see it's a massive boom in Sweden at the moment, as it is in all over the world. But we see here in Dalarna, it's been a crazy summer with record after record. And it's both mountain biking and leisure cycling. So all sort of cycling right now, it's super hot. And our guests that we had this summer, they will soon find their way up to you because they want to have new places to go. So be ready for them.
Thank you.
Very good. Do we have any other comments or questions to Andreas? Have still 3 minutes. Percore says asks in the chat, e-biking. What are your thoughts, Andreas, about that?
We've seen an increase in e-bikes, especially this summer, because that sort of brings biking to a larger group of people. More people can go out in nature and enjoy biking. So e-bikes has increased quite a lot down here in Dalarna, and more suppliers are offering e-bikes, both leisure bikes and mountain bikes. So I think e-bikes are here to stay. And especially, I mean, for the northern region, e-bikes, I think, is a really good way to offer tours, especially if it's a bit uphill.
Do you, Percore, want to comment? You have your hand raised.
Yeah, thank you, Andreas. Also, what we perhaps don't know about yet, if e-biking and e-bike accessibility will keep increasing. Does it have an impact on how you manage trails or build trails or other type of managing this activity?
For example, if we talk about Biking Dalarna, which is 22 different areas in Dalarna where we have different biking and biking trails, most of those destinations are maintained by different companies together with the municipality. Those trails are most of the times being charged for, so you need to pay a fee to go into the bike park, so to speak, and that money then goes back to maintaining the tracks. And they work quite intensively on that, not because of the e-bikes, I would say, but because of the big number of bikes being used on the tracks daily. So it needs to be maintained because it's sometimes quite hard to understand, but there's a lot of bikes down here on the trails. So it doesn't really matter if it's an e-bike or if it's a regular bike, because these parks are on marked trails, so they don't go out off trail. They keep on the tracks.
Thank you, Andreas. We will move on, but to all of you, we will have some time for questions at the end. So keep your questions to Andreas and other presenters as we go along. And we will now continue with Nina Forsell, who is going to talk about cross-border marketing experiences from Visit Arctic Europe. The floor is yours, Nina. Welcome.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the invitation to join this webinar. I will now take a small risk and take the tip from Andreas. Thank you about this new PowerPoint Live, and I will try it for the first time and we'll see how it goes. Let's hope for the best. It's loading at least. Can somebody confirm that you see it?
Yes, now we can see it.
Okay, thank you.
And good luck.
Well, thank you. Learning by doing. So yes, my name is Nina Forsell. I work for the Finnish Lapland Tourist Board, and we are one of the partners in Visit Arctic Europe project, number 2 at the moment. And what I was asked to talk about today is cross-border marketing and the experiences we have had. So right now, it will not be so much about cycling, but about cross-border marketing in general in my presentation. Visit Arctic Europe, we have the second project going on at the moment. It's a joint project between Finnish Lapland, Swedish Lapland, and Northern Norway, and it's mainly financed by Interreg Nord. The first project started in 2015, ended in 2018, and now we're in the second project already that started in 2018. And actually, we were able to get a prolonging of the time, so we still have almost 1 year to reach the targets of the project. It's a big project, unusually big, I would say. The total budget of the whole project is 6.4 million euros. And well, the 3 partners, of course, but then what is really important for everything we do is that we have a big number of companies and destinations participating. So we have a total of 120 participants in the project, and they are fairly equally spread across all 3 countries. And what goes to financing, yes, I mentioned already Interreg Nord, but of course there's the national financing from each country as well. And they have a little bit different structures. So Norway has several national financing partners, and then in Finland and Sweden, we have 1 each. But that's about the background. But now let's get into the content of the project. What do we do and why do we do it? And how do we do it? Actually, I want to concentrate quite much on how we do things in this presentation. First of all, the whole aim of the project is to develop cross-border travel in our region, which then covers the northern parts of all 3 countries. So the cross-border aspect is very fundamental for everything we do, and it shows in every single activity. We have 3 main headlines, and there actually I will today concentrate on the first one, but just to briefly present them. First of all, it's marketing of this whole area, and there we have divided it up into image marketing, which is more about raising awareness of this area, and then tactical marketing, which is more those actions that really lead the customers to buy the products and the trips, why they would come up here. But of course, it's important to make sure that the guests have a way of arriving here and moving around here. So that's why we have worked also on accessibility quite a bit, both externally, meaning how to come here, and then internally, how to move about. And there actually, I'll see, I hope I have time to give you some examples of those activities as well. And then we have a third big headline. It's called competence development. What it means is very much networking between the participants in the project, because we don't want only the project organization be the one to do the cross-border cooperation, but we want to grow the culture and experience of it for all those participants and also tour operators. And there we have certain very current topics that we mainly focus on. Digitalization, giving tools, giving information for companies, and they have discussed between each other, and they've done some practicing as well. what they can do. Of course, during a long time span, it will be 4 years of the project, things develop. So all the time we have to look at what is at this moment the most important information to have there. Sustainability, of course, very important part of the competence that the companies need to have, but also about market and product development. And then, of course, we wanted to highlight here very much the sustainability aspect, because that is, of course, something that we need to take into consideration in every single action we do in the project. And actually, one of the main views in this second project has been to develop and market potential seasons. And in that way, we want to work towards the sustainability part of having business and jobs in these locations all year round. But then next, a little bit about how we do things. Actually, the phrase sharing is caring might be familiar to some of you, but it's actually something we really have taken to heart in the project and really think about in everything we do, is that, well, we work very tightly together between the project partners and the project team and everybody involved. All the activities are done for the whole area. We don't have separate activities for each country, but we do everything as a whole. And we all work towards the whole area. So even if my title is the project manager for Finland, I do work with the Norwegian companies and Swedish companies and do work with tour operators and try to get them to bring guests to this whole area, not only Finland. Of course, I do try to keep in touch with the Finnish companies that are closest to me and bring their input to the project, but then sharing it with everybody else. We all carry costs for all parts of the project, so we don't have separate budgets. We have a joint budget. Of course, we have agreed on how each and every one will pay and how much, which is very even actually. But still, since all the activities are joint activities, we also pay for them together. What is very important in the way we work is the business orientation. We have a strong company participation, very many of them, and we want to do activities in the project that benefit them as quickly as possible. Of course, we have a lot of activities that are very general. We are not a sales organization. We're not doing the sales for any company directly, but we can make tools and facilitate events where they have easier and better to both market their products and also sell them. And yes, the aim is to both increase and improve business. So not only about quantity, but quality as well. So we want to develop the tourism in this region on a broad scale. But then going more directly to marketing, I mentioned earlier that one of the headlines on the marketing is image marketing. And of course, there we want to increase the awareness of this region. We talk about the Arctic Europe region. The name of the project is Visit Arctic Europe, but we invite people to visit Arctic Europe, and especially in our potential seasons. Many of you might know that the seasons are a little bit different, how they are busy in our countries, and especially if you look at separate destinations. For example, Finnish Lapland, winter is the high season, but then when you look at, for example, on the coast of northern Norway, in many places, summer is the busier time. So then in the beginning of the project, we sat down, okay, what is the potential season we all need to work on. What is the potential season we want to work on together? So there we found the emphasis that we mainly work on the autumn season. That is something where we all see quite good potential, but where we also all need to develop. So we have very much worked on the autumn season. Of course, now with COVID and everything, work has needed to be done basically on all seasons. We need to get back customers. So we have broadened it a bit throughout the project, but still the main emphasis is there on the autumn season. And in image marketing, we have done marketing actions directly, but also we have created tools like pictures, videos, a website as a landing page that both our participating companies can use and tour operators can use. So it makes it easier for them to market this area when they have ready-made material that they can use very broadly. And now we'll see how it works. I want to show you one short video that we made as a presentation of the whole area. And this is one of the tools that the companies and tour operators can use. Okay, that didn't go so well. We'll get back here. Well, maybe I'll just move ahead. You can find the video material if you go on YouTube and write Visit Arctic Europe as a search word. You find material there. I won't use time on practicing that now. In image marketing, of course, everything needs to be tied very tightly together with the tactical marketing actions we do. So if we raise interest first to the area, then there needs to be the activities that pick up and do the actual product or present the products and make it easy for the customers to buy them. And that is then done in the tactical marketing activities. Okay, go a bit. Okay, so we saw the video anyway. But then some other examples of image marketing activities. For example, we had big campaign both in social media and, for example, even outdoor billboards in the UK that were quite tightly similar to the Frozen theme that was launched in 2018 when a lot of people had interest towards this area. So we wanted to show where concretely you can do it. But then we've had image marketing campaigns about Northern Lights. We've had influencers visiting here and doing a lot of material on, mainly Instagram, really attracting a lot of attention. And also we had this Naming Auroras campaign. So we launched it mainly through the press, that you could name, like you name a storm. If there's a big storm, we can talk about the Håkan storm, for example. So we could have the Rauno Auroras for a certain day, which of course is not a scientific thing, but it got a lot of attention. Then we also have had a theme with food. It was called Eat the Landscape. So we picked pictures of sceneries here in the area, and then we had chefs make meals that looked like, or make a menu with dishes that looked like those sceneries, and one from each country. And those could be bought in the restaurants, but then there was a lot of marketing material. There's one link here, but we will not look at that right now, because I do want to talk about tactical marketing as well. Tactical marketing, of course, what we consider by it is really the more concrete actions, that how do we get tour operators to package products from our area and sell them and market them. And of course, it can also be to get individual travelers to buy their trips. So from the beginning, we plan to have sales workshops where we invite both the participating companies and tour operators who are interested in selling this area. And we were really successful with those. We had some live workshops already, and then we had to go digital when COVID hit, but actually quite successful with those as well. Fam trips have been very popular, which means, I'm sure most of you know, but inviting tour operators here for a couple days, showing them around, showing the products, places, meeting the people they can do business with. And some of these pictures here are from fan trips like that. So that way we can increase the knowledge for the tour operators, and they can get excited about selling this area. But also a big part of the tactical marketing work we have done is joint marketing campaigns with tour operators. We made quite strict criteria that what they need to do. They need to sell this area. They need to want to develop the products for this area. They need to put in quite a big investment themselves, or a big share of it, in marketing this area. But if all of those criteria are met, and then we chose the best, actually 29 tour operators, then we can do joint marketing with them on their market. So they do the actual actions, but we plan them together and we follow them up together. And here was very briefly about the digital work, but I think my time is ticking. So I'll just show you a few pictures about what kind of marketing the tour operators have done. There's a wide range of different things. Of course, mainly on the autumn season and very much on the Northern Lights in the autumn season and so on. But they have done everything from traditional printed advertising in newspapers, magazines, but of course social media, landing pages, even like, for example, here there's some advertising on a train, or they have had events for their customers, or for other resellers like travel agents. They have educated them as well, and a big range of activities that they do. But of course, everything is really tightly planned together so that it reflects this area and that it really brings the benefit and the business to this area. The tour operators and the companies, of course, do the actual business between each other. So we are not a part of the chain there of selling the products, but we are part of the marketing, so trying to help that. Then, well, I'll take very quickly so I have time for a question or two if somebody has a question. But regarding accessibility, actually, I'll focus on internal accessibility here. Earlier today, we saw some maps on cycling routes that are needed where there was demand for. We kind of did the same for transportation within this area with different means of transportation, but it works out that most of it is now by land and mostly bus and train connections. But the first one that has now really come to life is the Arctic route, bus and train route that goes Tromsø, Kilpisjärvi, Levi, Rovaniemi, Haparanda, Luleå, Kiruna, Narvik, and Tromsø. And you can travel any part of that or even the whole route. A customer can buy the ticket for some part there, and the services along the route are marketed together with the route so that the customers really see why they will travel to those places and what they could do there. And that is something that is done by Bussring from Norway, Eskelinen in Finland, and the train company Vy in Sweden. So they operate that route, but we have had a small share of marketing there together with them to kind of get it up and running. But of course, more as a facilitating role in the beginning to get it there. Now let's see, I think I will jump all the way here till the end so that we have time if somebody has a question or two.
Thank you, Nina. Very interesting to see the cooperation as we have seen in this steel project as well. Like there are challenges but also ways to accomplish results. Maria has a question here. Due to bad connections, I may have missed this. Have you done or have you any plans for going for image marketing to branding work, trademarks, etc.?
Not directly, no. We discussed it very much in the beginning, but then the thought was that since it is a project and it's for a temporary work, it's maybe not the best thing to build a brand. There are strong brands for destinations and companies and tour operators, so we didn't really want to go into the branding work as such.
Any other questions or comments? I can ask you, how did you frame the Arctic area? There are so many different definitions on where is the Arctic. But I saw that you went on the Swedish side, you went quite far down.
Yeah.
And then when you were looking at the transportation connections, you went as far down as Umeå-Vasa axle.
Yeah, in the transportation work, it was maybe a little bit wider, but very much this has been defined based on the project partners where we work, where our organizations work. So in Finland, it's Lapland, so well, all from the north, but the southern border would be then like Posio, Kemi, basically. Or from there we have participants. Then in Sweden we would go all the way to Skellefteå and then cross the border to Norway, and then, well, let's see, Bodø is pretty much, or help me Göri, you are there, but the region close to Bodø, Helgeland, is the southernmost part that we work with there in Norway, and everything up north all the way to Svalbard.
And a final comment or question from Serja, and then after that we're going on a break.
Okay, thank you. I was thinking of these seasons. Do you see that Finland and Sweden have more in common than Norway because Norway has this strong summer tourism, but what about Norrbotten in Sweden? And another thing, this Arctic bus route, it's very interesting. Also from cycling perspective, how many bikes can they take? It doesn't depend on the company. So again, two questions, sorry.
I'll start with the second question and I'll see if I remember the first one. Yeah, I also see it really as a good way of combining maybe the bus route and the biking. I don't have a definite answer. It depends on the bus companies and of course buses and train, they have a totally different capacity there, so probably easier on the train. But that is something that could be worth getting in touch with, mainly Bussring, because they are the lead operator there. And then about the seasons, maybe at first glance you would think that it's like that, but then at the same time there are quite different destinations within each country. So we did go down on a more detailed level and looked at the destinations and what are their high seasons and where do you want the most work done. So for example, let's say, well, Finnish Lapland, we have places that are already strong in summertime, like Kilpisjärvi, for example. Even if it's far up north there, it's not only about winter tourism. They are very strong in summertime. Same goes for Swedish Lapland. Take Piteå, for example. Very strong in summertime. And also then again in Norway, you do find places that are strong in wintertime as well. So it's not so simple, and that's why we went down on the destination level, and there we kind of found the common interest for the autumn season.
Thank you, Nina. And Nina's presentation and all the information and all the presenters' information will be posted on our website, so there you can see the videos also once again. Now we have a short break. We will continue with Göril Ovensen and Krista Lindqvist Karpelin in 15 past, quarter past. See you then. Stretch your legs and arms. Chris, är du där? Krisse, hör du mig?
Jag hörde, jag provar just kameran, du såg det kanske. Äsch, kanske du inte hör, jag sätter på den.
Jag hör nog dig.
Ja, du hör mig, jag satt nu på den här mikrofonen, den är bättre.
Ja. Ja.
Det där, ja, så att jag gör ingenting annat utan hon kan sätta den där.
Och sätter den Milla sätter powerpointen och så ber du henne bara byta
Ja, jag har ju,
den här slide.
alla har gått igenom mina saker redan, men det är jätteintressant.
Bra.
Jag tycker om att höra på det här. Ja, okej, men jag sätter bort mig så länge nu först, när det är den här handen andra.
Ja, bra.
Okej, fine man.
So, I hope people have got some nice coffee and a little bit shake up movements for your office buddies. And we will continue the second session here in part 2 with starting with Göril Ovensen from Nordnorsk Reiseliv, who is going to tell us about business to business. How do we use FAM tours and other methods to catch interesting from tour operators? Please, Göril, the floor is yours. Very welcome.
Thank you very much. I am just going to share my presentation. Okay, someone else has shared it. Do you see my presentation now?
Yes, we can see it. Milla here has shared your presentation, so you only has to ask her to move forward.
Okay.
No, you haven't. Pasi here. I begin to share presentation, but stopped it as.
Okay.
Yes, so maybe it's now your.
Okay, I'll try again. I'll share my presentation. Now you see me, I hope.
Yes, we do.
Yes.
There you go. Okay, guys, I'm going to try and explain a little bit on how tour operators work. You'll hear later from them, but how we perceive it and how we can increase their interest in what we want to sell. We'll start off. There are different tour operators for different types of trips. Some are for family biking trips. Some are for mountain biking or tour biking, which is usually on roads or dirt roads. You also have someone who arranged trips to cycling trips, competitions and all. A lot of these is just to try and show what I was listening to. Sorry, I start again. I was listening to you present the different routes in Finland, Sweden and Norway. And to get these cross-border to work, you need to get more together and work and find out what is it you want the tour operator to sell. What is it your region has to offer? Is it, are you going to sell family trips? Do you want the tour operator to sell this? Then you have to adapt your product to that. So, bike touring, organized by tour operators, they can also sell the same trip on individual basis where you don't have a guide to follow you, you don't have the luggage transport and all that. But most of the trips the tour operators sell, they also sell luggage transport. They also include full board, most of these trips. And some of the routes you described, it was too far in between. And I was just thinking, it just fell into my head while you were talking. Why not set up in a certain distance between a camp with tents for the tour operators coming through with his group and fix it like that? You have to adapt a little bit to find the product that the tour operator would love to sell. And the same is with bikes. You need bikes for if you want to sell for children, you need children bikes. If you want to sell for a mountain trip, you need mountain bikes. So you need the bikes that's adapted to the product you want to sell. Bike touring, like here, a transport guide, accommodation, full board luggage transport, and bike is usually included in the trips that you can find online today. Mountain biking, you require some kind of experience before you start that. I did my first mountain biking trip this summer and I ended over the steering. I had a fall. I'm not that used to mountain biking. And this can be done on dirt roads and trails or in purpose-built parks as well. If there is a tour operator organizing this, he does come with a guide. He does organize accommodation. So you have a certain distance you travel every day.
and it's full board and usually with luggage transport. If you're going to go mountain biking down the Skibotn Valley, you need a car to drive the road and get the luggage there. You don't go mountain biking with luggage for several days trip. Not feasible in the same way. Another thing is, how do you find the right tour operator? When I was supposed to do this, I did some research online. Do use different kinds of words to find the one that suits you. You have tour operators who operate on just biking. You have others that combine biking with other activities. Put in a little bit of a Sami experience on the trip. It creates another selling point for you. When you define your product, what you want to sell, and find the tour operator to sell similar packages. We have in Northern Norway people coming before COVID, coming from the US to go biking trips in Northern Norway with groups. You do have the clients who love biking, they love to go to different areas for each time. Like our Swedish said, sorry, I don't remember your name. And when you want to work with tour operators, the working together is very important. If you have a cross-border trip, you need to have connections between the different areas. You need to have just one place where the tour operator can book this trip. Make it easy for the tour operators. You have a lot more chance to getting into their program if you make it easy for them. If they have to go into 10 different providers to make a trip, it takes too much time and too much money usually, as of course not for everyone, but the easier you make it, the more likelihood it is that the tour operator really would love to sell your trip. So the connection, you guys need to work together. Let's say you have one operator in Norway, one in Sweden, for instance, you take the route there, or you have one in Finland, one in Norway. If you do also sell individual trips, not with a guide and all that, and if they go through areas with no mobile coverage, I know there are areas in the middle of the mountain in Norway where the mobile doesn't work. You need to provide some kind of safety measures, which means, okay, I have 3 guys traveling from Finland to Norway today. I'll call or send an email, you find out how it works, to their next accommodation in Norway, so that you know that these guys made it. If one of them fell off the bike and broke his leg, if there are 2 of them, the other one didn't want to leave him all alone in the mountain. You need to have some kind of security measures as well and market this towards the tour operators. And the research online to find your right tour operator, that is where you put in most your work. It does take time to find the ones that is perfect for your selling your package. And how to make them. It's Nina was mentioning workshops. You get in contact on workshops, you get in contact with tour operators directly. You have them all over the world. You can go to Italy to their workshop, or you can like have invite them or join Visit Arctic Europe's workshop. Next one is in Alta. I don't know if you can join Visit Arctic Europe, but you probably have some of your people are already in there. And when you've done your research online and find out, okay, I have 5 tour operators, one from Italy, one from France, one from Sweden, one from Norway, and one from the UK. I want to show these. You invite them to go on the trip you want them to sell. You show them the add-ons you have on the trip, if it's a nice lunch, if it is some kind of activity together. The add-ons can also be in the start or at the end of the trip, which can create that these biking tourists are staying a day or two longer. More money for everyone. And as in general, I have done, I don't know how many, but several hundred fam trips or tour operator trips to show them Northern Norway, which has been my area of expertise. And usually after a trip, you usually have between 5 and 15 people on trips. These are on general trips. After a trip, you usually have at least 4, 5 different tour operators that creates new packages as a result of what they have seen on the trip you arranged. It works. And it's so much easier to sell something you've experienced. I've had during this COVID times, you talk to everyone online. You don't meet them anymore. But I've met people I've had on trips 10 years ago, and they still have Northern Norway as a really high must-see in their head when they talk to clients. So just show what we have. We have unique areas. We have in the summer, the midnight sun. Towards the autumn, I'm not talking about winter biking, that's a little bit more hazardous, but in the autumn you have the Northern Light coming. Sell it, tell them about it. What else do we have? We have the Sami culture. It's common for all of us. Try to include them as well in some sense. And just make it a unique trip for the tour operators. Let them experience it. I'm sure they will put it in their program and sell it. Let's see, time-wise, still plenty of time here. And then you have how to help the tour operator sell. When you find your perfect tour operator for your product, your trip, you can invite journalists, and a lot of the tour operators have good connection with local journalists in their country. Talk to them. You invite, you show them around, you guide them around, the journalists, of course, and help them with pictures if you have really good high quality pictures. Films as well. Films are getting to be more and more important, and for a tour operator, if you look on their website, if you do your research, you will find that a lot of them have a lot of pictures, or some of them even have film clips that can show the potential buyer how this trip is special, how it is to come to the Arctic, top of Europe or Arctic Europe, and go on bike rides. Why should they choose us? Why shouldn't they drive between the wine yards in France on a biking trip? Why is it so special to come up here? We have a lot to offer, use it. And the same goes with social media. social media creates an awareness around if you manage to get, and sometimes you get them to go really viral. If you have films and all, it's not that often to get pictures to go viral, which means you can get 1 million views. And but you need the right film, the ones that shows and makes it interesting to go to this trip. You can also, like Nina was talking about, marketing plans together. Help the tour operators out. Make sure that they can also benefit both with pictures, maybe even other kind of financial support if you can, that you together do a special kind of marketing towards your potential clients. The main points, I haven't put them on here, but the main points I would like to emphasize is that you guys need to work together. You need to make it, if you want to do the cross-border, you need to work together with your neighbor on the other side of the border. You need to make everything as easy as possible. You need to have, if bikes go, something goes wrong with the bike, replacement bike or possibility to fix it. In general, you should be able to do this if you, the main thing is find the right tour operators. Define which is your main client. The aim is not to sell a lot of trips. The aim is to sell the trips that really, really, number one, leaves a lot of money for you guys. You need to find those clients that does help you afterwards to publish their own pictures on their Facebook or Instagram or other social media channels, and talk about it. The best marketing we have is happy customers. And that goes for the tour operators as well. One thing we should have in the back of our minds, the rules for tour operators aren't the same all over the world. In some places, like in the UK, if just one of the main things in the package is going down the drain, the client can go back to the tour operators and get the whole package or the whole money back, which means that we need to deliver quality from A to Z, or A to O, which is the last letter in the Norwegian alphabet. But I believe that this project and what you have showed me on the trips that you have to offer today, and how you, of course, when the borders are more open again, we don't need passports, so we don't need vaccination cards and all that to cross the borders. Then all the border points will be open, even the dirt roads. So let's hope for the better times to come, and I'm sure you guys will make it. I think that is about it. Please feel free to come with questions if there is anyone. I am done with my presentation.
Thank you, Görin. We have 5 minutes for questions now.
Yes, any questions?
In the chat or raise your hands. Either or. There we have a hand. I must see who.
Taneli.
Yes, Taneli, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the very insightful presentation, Gerel. I think it covered really well what we need to do to attract the attract tour operators. I've worked with two operators in the past as well, helping them to set up bike touring trips. And maybe something to add to your presentation, Garo, was that like it's important to understand that the tour operators, the people who plan the tours, like you need to be able to attract them as a bike tourist themselves, like as a mountain biker, as a gravel rider, road rider, bikepacker, like long distance bicycle traveler. And one way to do it is as well is to just to have a really nice website about the routes you're making. So like, and I think that is the easiest way in case you have a like fantastic route network. You provide all the information that the normal client on that route network would need, which is like how challenging are the routes, what type of routes they are, which bike they need to do the route safely, efficiently, what services there are, like the food, accommodation, public transportation, other services, bike shops, stuff like that. If you can communicate that so well to a normal customer, the normal bike tourist who travels alone, I think that website is like more than enough to get started for the bike tour operator to plan their tour as well. And so they have that base information, your local knowledge, which companies to use, where's the best food, where's the best sauna, best swim in the Arctic Ocean, and that will create the big picture.
But they
Good
need,
product.
they need to find your website. That is what I was talking about. You do your research and you contact them, and then you can send your website there, because then they can look in and look at more. Because there's so much online that a lot of these people, if they're not already interested in our region, they won't find you. So don't wait for them to come to you. Do your research and try to entice them. This is something your clients really would love to try out. It's, I think, a combination here, but good websites are, of course, very, very well, and recommendations, of course, but a lot of the tour operators that offer these group trips, that means you have one contact and suddenly you have 12 clients or 20 clients in 3 different groups or whatever. The groups are usually not big on these trips. If you go in, it's 8, 12, usually in between there sometimes. And it's just get them there, get them to be interested, tell them about how well this is done. But they sell. The packages they sell when you go online and do research all includes full board and accommodation. So for long distances between the borders, like Arild was talking about in Finnmark, there wasn't accommodation and food options on the road. You can make the lunch for them and send it with them, but they also need, and I thought maybe put up some Sami tent, ask the Sami, maybe they could offer accommodation for one night, and it will add on to your trip. It will make it more interesting for the clients.
Thank you, Gøril. We can take more questions for you at the end as well. And we will had one more hand here. Was it Seija? Do you have just a short comment?
To thank you for so inspiring presentation. I think we got really a lot of good points from that, and I think I'll come back to that at the end. Yeah, it was really interesting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we'll move on to another perspective on cycling tourism. And we have heard the project partners, the academics, we have heard marketing experts and experts on operators and experts on cross-border tourism. And we are now down to what I could also perhaps present as the spider of the web between the actual bikers, cycling tourists, and the entrepreneurs, the guides perspective on tourism. And I welcome Chris Lindqvist Karpelin. And I think Pasi will share your presentation.
Oh, thank you.
Can you see the presentation?
Yes.
Yes, it's good.
Good.
Very welcome.
Thank
Chris.
you. I'm Krista Lindqvist Karpelin, and I'm being a guide. In the early 80s, I started already. Then I had quite a long pause. In the 80s, I was mostly in the bus, sitting, explaining things. Then after the pause, I was just in when these bicycle tours came in, and I have had the possibility to be in many different countries just with bicycle, and this is awesome. Now with all the presentations, I've been so happy to hear about it, and they are so spot on from the first to the last one. My thing was how to make the bike tourist happy, the guy from the guide's experiences. And I don't know, I don't have that much to come with, because you have been talking about all these things that really are important. We can go on to the next slide, please. Because I have been working with groups that mostly don't know each other. They come from different Nordic countries. And here on the picture, we have an improvised stop. We have a swim here just for 15 minutes and drinking some water and then going again. And this is what the trips are. We make many improvised things, but to have good things and good feelings, good memories afterwards, the one and only thing is to be secure. Then you are relaxed. But we have to have all the time, we have to remember that it have to be very secure for the group. And there are because of this, I do have some laws always before we start, and it's about how to ride on a road where there are traffic. Of course, I also hope that all the other ones who are on the road, they follow these as well. We usually go not more than 4, perhaps 3, and then we have a bit of empty spaces, and then 3 or 4 again. If we are about 10 persons, 15 is the max. We are normally not more than this. So if we have cars behind, they can come and slip in, because otherwise they get quite nervous, and then they take all the line in one very high speed. They will go in front of us, and perhaps we will meet another car or a truck at that time, and that's horrible things. The only things are the other traffic. We should like to be alone on our own tracks. That's the best. For example, in Italy, somebody talked about the old train tracks. They have put them away in the Alps, and now they are just for bicycling, not even for mopeds or motorcycles, just for bicycle. And in these 6 years that I made these trips, they have increased a lot. Thanks also for the e-bikers. Okay, we can go further on with the next. Yeah, so I have this S, security, service, silence, cease, and stops. Actually, that's what our trips are made of. And not only security is on the way, but also, as somebody already said, when we leave the bikes, also for just a short coffee break, we have to be sure that they are there again when we go after them. If we have an accommodation, I think it was Andreas who said we can even take them in the room if there are not a place where we can put them inside. And also there we can make some repairs if they are broken or something isn't just as we like. So we have time and space for this. And if there is a service for the bikes, that's awesome, of course. If we have to look for a service, it takes just so much time from the real trip. So when we find some services, we are always very happy about this. Of course, the biker should have with him, her, a first aid kit, both for ourselves, for the bikers and for the bikes. But even if you have 15 different things, it's only the 16th that we need. So that's the problem. We try to think all the possibilities that can go wrong, but that's always one new when something goes wrong. But in the end, somebody just asked me, how many accidents have you had? And really, really few. And we have gone very, very special ways and a lot of stones and small ways, tracks. And we have also been, we have had to carry the bikes as well. But everyone is very, very take care of herself and himself, but also helps others. That's why it's nice to go with groups, because there you have the power as well to help each other. Okay, we can go further on. And here you have rangers. We meet. I have been meeting on the way a lot of cows, just wonderful. They always stay and look at you, and we look at them. And this makes the trip always a lot of better, even because we cannot order them there. They just come. And this is the thing when you go to the nature. You cannot order all the things you see. You just have them there. Of course, we have the sun, midnight sun, and this is nothing you can feel from the photo. You have to feel it with your nose, with your whole body, with your eyes, everything. So that was really good, Gerald, what you said the last presentation. We have to have the tour operators to feel it, and then they can tell about it, and still the bikers can see and feel even more than we have promised them. Yeah, there are small things I put there. We should very much like to have water, again, new water in our bottles. Of course, we have a lot of them, and in the forest somewhere you can take the natural water, fill the bottles with that. Nice to have a toilet every now and then, a good one. And if there is, there was a lovely old gasoline map. There you can buy some snacks. We have them with us, but we want to have something more. And souvenirs. Each of us, nearly, if we don't go that many times, we want to have something with us when we are home to show, and not something plastic in the bottom written made in China, but the real Same thing that we can wear. So jewelers, they are never a bad choice. I mean, really made there on the spot, some really Sami culture. Remember to tell those who have the cafes and things. Also books about the place, they sell very good. From then when you see it, then you want to have more about this culture. If there is some local evenement. How do you say it? If there is something that the guide has missed, or if there is a road that is broken or bridge closed, or something you can't read in the books or are in the agenda, please inform us about these things. It's very, very nice if we know about it just before we come there and just see these things. Of course, this happens even without information, but if we know it, it's very nice. Or if you have a really local thing that we should know, perhaps in the next village they have a huge marriage or anything you can find out, we are happy to know about it before we come there. Okay, we can go further on the next slide, please. The groups I have had, they mostly don't know each other, but we have something in common at once when we meet. I have had mostly from the Nordic countries. And then we are, after a while, we are very much together. It's nice because we have this common bicycle and we are struggling sometimes. We are laughing when we have our breaks and so on. And when we have our breaks, we perhaps make some in the coffee. We very much like to sit together, so we take all the chairs there we can find to be together, to know each other a little bit more, because we are like a big family. Because here you can see a portrait of a big happy biking family from the Nordic. They are from all the Nordic countries here. They are from Sweden, Finland, Norwegian, and Denmark. So here we go on with the next one. Oh, I couldn't leave this for you to see. We have nice mountain bikes, we have e-bikes, we have so many different bikes. This bike is made of mostly of wood, designed in Italy. Okay, perhaps the next bike for you. You can see it's just fantastic. But we go on, please. Yeah, I had a short presentation. I'm very, very happy I could enjoy this Teams meeting, because I feel that this is a very important and interesting thing, to go bicycling, to feel the nature. And this makes me and so many others happy to go on this way. There are so many who doesn't know how it is, and then when they come, they are really happy. But I think it's very important to get, when I get groups, that they should be more or less the same levels, because we have these marathoners, those who really want to make the long distance and fast, and then we have those persons who wants to, for example, take photos from each stone and hill. Of course, both of them are lovely, but in the end, we should put a little bit of same people together. So that's also important for the tour operators, if it's possible to put in same groups. But anyway, it doesn't matter if you just come to see these lovely places, new places, and with a bike, you see much, much more than from a car, train, bus, or plane. So thank you for me. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Krisse. We are not going to let you disappear this fast.
No.
Are there any questions or comments to Krisse about the guide's perspective or something else she presented here?
I'm very proud of not having too long presentation. You know, guides, when you get them a microphone, they are hardly to get them away again. Okay, I think there is a...
Yes, Arild, please.
Yes.
You have your mic muted, Arild.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks, Chris. It was a very interesting presentation with interesting perspectives. And one thing that is coming up more or less from everybody is this thing about safety. And I had to admit I have become kind of concerned in relation to some of the route that goes along the main roads that are in this project. Have you been biking up in North on the roads there? And can you say something? Would you do guiding on these roads where you have kind of this, as I said, up to 270 trucks every 24 hours?
Yeah, I have been traveling up north, not by a group, but in Lofoten just 3 weeks ago actually, and they are very narrow, the roads, but the chauffeurs, the drivers took me very much in consider. They waited, and I was very happy about this, but still the roads are very, very narrow. What I can't understand in one way, when we are bicycling, for example, in Italy, and you know Italy with 60 million people, with a country smaller, just much smaller than Finland, and they have places for these bicycle roads. We go bicycle roads nearly all the week. And how can this be possible? How are there a possibility to have all these bicycle roads in a country with so many people and so many cars? So I think we are just on the right way now to make this project and making new bicycle roads. I'm living in the south of Finland, in the southeast, and we have here the Ringvägen. It's called Ringvägen, Rengastie in Finnish, and it goes around many islands, and it has been marketing. But this summer it has been very much been written because
Jakob,
of...
Görel, beklager, jeg kunne ikke snakke i stad, men da holdt jeg et foredrag.
Nu så, Görel, har du på din mikrofon? Jag kan stänga.
Yeah.
Så nu.
Yeah, so and it has been written, they have been written about this because it's so dangerous because of this, again, COVID. So there are so many domestic persons that come by cars now, and I don't know what they are going to do, because they also market it like very much like a bicycling road. So I think it's the first things to try to make it safe, the roads, for then we will have, then it's no difficulties to have groups there, but do it safe. How do you do it? Yeah, that's not easy.
Thank you. Another hand, Taneli has his hand raised.
Yeah, just to quickly chime in regarding the safety discussion, and I think what you said, Chris, that in Italy you are following the routes like assigned for cycling only. I've experienced them myself, and it's fantastic. In Finland, unfortunately, like we all know, we are in the Arctic areas. What we have the main road network. And then we have a fantastic gravel network based, created by quite often by the long-term logging industry. And my view and my vision is that we can really take advantage of that, also security-wise. And personally, I've lost a few of my friends on the road. They've been hit by a car and a truck So that has given me a really personal goal to when I do develop bicycle touring routes, I want the safety to be the top priority, and I made sort of my personal guidelines for developing those kinds of routes. And to recap them shortly, if you stay on gravel, like many of the gravel roads, you can do them with any bicycle except the road bike with the thinnest tires. And generally, like staying on the gravel, it gives you a nicer experience in the nature, a lot less cars. And like I said, in the Arctic area, we have a fantastic gravel road network, and it is accessible, like I said, with any bike most of the time. So that is something I really want to highlight in the route development always, not only in the Arctic areas, wherever I'm doing road work in the world. If you need to stay on paved roads, it's best to avoid the routes with trucks, like I would say, one truck every 5 minutes if you divide the 270 trucks on the 24-hour period. So any trucks 100 kilometers per hour road, I would definitely avoid that. Even to make a big detour is quite often worth it, just to be on the safe side.
Yeah. I agree at 100%.
If I just can comment, it's also about like biking culture and transportation culture, driving culture, and we can see like the culture in the 3 Nordic countries when we look at how people drive are different, differ quite a lot. Do drivers stop for like a crossing or not, for example?
Yeah.
We have big differences, and it's like a very profound change that is needed for making the roads safe, I think. So that's a major challenge for all biking activities, I would say. I have a couple of yes.
Yeah, could I say one thing more, because in Finland we have now got a new traffic mark for bicycles just in the beginning of the year. We haven't had this before, and I know, for example, Belgium had this. When you go on a senza unico, a one-way road, a road that you can just drive one way, then under this sign for the cars, it's said that the bikers, they can go both ways. And this they have had before. I have seen it in Belgium and Holland before, but now we have it in Finland as well. And I think this is a small improvement. And actually, on where there are those, we will have those bikers. Couldn't we put there some traffic marks as well? Take care the bikers are also on the road, or something, some marks that we have children on the road, on the small roads as well. We could put bikers on the road and a triangle there. Could it help? I don't know.
Tadeli, did you have an old hand or a new hand?
That was an old one. That was an old one, but like just a quick comment, like we mentioned the traffic culture, and really like the long-term goal is certainly to create a traffic culture. So the cyclist would be treated in a way that we would not to be afraid to get hit by a car. So we would know that we don't need to look bad. We don't need to get off tarmac. We can stay on that narrow 10 centimeters shoulder safely, or on the white line, or even like a half a meter away from the white line, and we would be safe. In Finland, I think they are preparing a regulation or law that cars should pass cyclists 1.5 meters. I give us there's the space between a cyclist and a car. Overtake situation should be 1.5 meters. I don't know if it will go through, but that is definitely that would force the driving culture in the right direction. But it's yeah, when cyclists are on the road, cyclists increasing. It will take a while for the cars to get used to that. But hopefully we end up in a situation that, for instance, there is, I would say, Colombia. There's a fantastic traffic culture, and I don't know. As the last remark, it's still pretty safe in the Arctic areas compared to many parts of the world, which is great for tourism wise. Yeah, but it's there's still a lot of room for improvement.
Yes.
So thank you, Chris, and thank you for comments. Now Hans just had a hand up. A short comment from you, and then we take a break.
Yes, hi, Hans Tubes from Cykelfrämjandet here, the Swedish National Cycling Advocacy Organization. I work with primarily bicycle tourism, but also mountain biking and other related projects in recreational cycling. This has been a really interesting webinar, and I appreciate to hear all the experiences of things that are happening in the neighboring countries and in the northern parts of Sweden. One thing I would like to try to point out is that this can also be a project like this can also be a good opportunity to try to promote the building of new bicycle infrastructure, that it doesn't have to be based purely upon existing infrastructure, but certainly encourage development of safe bicycling infrastructure, especially in the areas that are close to urban population centers. It's not just the roads themselves that are dangerous, but crossings are often fairly dangerous for bicycle tourists, and those are something that can be addressed in a project like this as well.
Yes, for sure. Hans, hope you can stay on to the end, and we can discuss this more.
Absolutely.
A little bit. Yes, I would like to suggest that you all, if possible, go and get some air and oxygen and get back in how many minutes? 5, 6, 7 minutes now, 8 minutes. And we start with the last presentation, 1:15.
Adelt, hörde du mig?
Du hörs.
You can hear me, yeah?
We can hear you.
Cool. I just wanted to test this. Thank you.
So, time is 1:15, and we will continue with the last session of the day. We have listened to experts on cross-border cooperation, and now we're going to hear about cooperation between businesses by Georg Sichel-Schmidt. And he's going to talk about the value of cooperation between businesses. Very welcome, Georg, and the floor is yours for the next 20 minutes.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. And so sorry that I couldn't participate earlier. A busy day today. So Adelt and Perkole, they challenged me to say something about cooperation. The value of cooperation between businesses. I would say cooperation is the key to success from my side, I think. Or as we say that alone we can do so little, but together we can do much more. I'm not a scientist, so I will just come up with some best practice examples from my work. I'm the director of tourism for the Lyngenfjord region. The region you can find between. Oh yeah, somebody says I should open the camera. You don't see me?
Yes, I see you.
Okay. Yeah, everybody. Okay, then perfect. Then I just participate. Hopefully it's fine. Yes, we are working in the region between Tromsø and Alta, more or less. And just give me a second. Yeah, the region, we are working for 5 municipalities. We have 70 different companies we are working for. And as a destination company, DMO, it's like probably all destinations in the world, we only can exist when we cooperate. Cooperating with our stakeholders, only then we will succeed. So because we don't have anything, we just have our PC working in the office, and what we do is to create added value through cooperation in our region. It's not easy. Of course, we have five municipalities. We have 5 mayors. We have different ideas. We have 5 municipal directors who are working for their own municipality. Then we have 70 different companies with different needs, wishes, and challenges. We are working as well very close together with the surrounding destinations like Visit Alta, Visit Tromsø, Visit Senja, but as well cross-border towards Finland with a destination in Enontekiö. Yeah, only when we cooperate we can succeed, I think. And just one example from our daily work is that we in the Northern Light time, there are a lot of people traveling to Tromsø before Corona to see the Northern Lights, because Tromsø is easy to reach, many direct flights, easy to book accommodations, a lot of activities available. And we are so lucky that we are quite close to this main market, but still not so many people traveled into our destination to stay overnight. They mostly come for activities during daytime or in the evening, and then they went back to Tromsø. So we needed to change that, and to make that happen, we needed to build packages to make it easy for our guests to come to book. So because it's difficult to understand where all the single accommodations are or activities happens in the region. And packages, ready-made packages, can make this much easier for people. So what we have is that we don't even have companies who offer everything, like accommodation, transport, meals, activities. And there we need to cooperate. When we bring all these suppliers together to make it happen, that we have this, these packages, then we create or we increase the sales. And we were working a lot with that, and I think we succeed, not always everywhere, but in many places. And we can see that there are more and more companies cooperating to build packages, and because they can see that in the long term their business, they can increase their sales and get new businesses. You cannot force people to cooperate. We often see this when we have workshops where we talk about development of the region, that we talk about cooperation, and this is a very, very important part. But I think when you show them how to make more money, how to increase, how to develop their business with a cooperation, most of them will understand. And sometimes even so that you will miss some business in the short term, but in the long term it will make you much stronger, and it will increase your sales and your businesses. But we were talking in this workshop about cycling, and in the Lyngenfjord region we were a couple of years ago we were talking about which kind of cycling we want to work with, and it was quite obvious that trail biking or mountain biking is this kind of cycling that where we have a USP, where we are different to other destinations. Of course, you can do road cycling, you can do tour cycling, everything happens in the region, And I think there's one workshop we had in Skibotten with the project shows us as well what more is possible than just trail biking. It is we have the focus on trail biking. This is like kind of when you see mountain biking, it is mostly happening on small trails. Very often you need to push up your bike or even carry it, and then you can enjoy a good downhill. We found out that we have the qualities to be a popular bike destination. We invited a couple of tour operators. We had journalists here, other people who are working a lot with mountain biking, and they confirmed that we are a destination who can be very attractive and exotic, of course, for mountain bikers all over the world to come to us. But to succeed as a mountain bike destination, we need to have some things ready. And this, of course, we need to have the exciting trails so that people want to come to ride them. But as well, we need to have good information about the trails, easy available. We need to have biker-friendly accommodations and services to make it easy for guests to come to us. We need to have good offers within transport, accommodation, guiding, meals, bike rental. With all these things, we were working the last couple of years. So, and we know we have the great trails. We tested and approved them. We made a bike brochure as well, and we uploaded them all on the different apps you can find and mountain bikers are using. We made we made a certification for companies who can so that they are biker friendly, that they can show that they are biker friendly service. And then we were still working to have these good offers in transport and guiding and meals and etc. This is still a work we need to do. We are not ready yet. And this will as well improve during when we get the guests. And we were working a lot with that, but then the last 2 summers we didn't have all these booked groups that should come. They never come because of COVID-19 pandemic, and that gave all this our partners or the businesses here kind of like, okay, we don't focus on that anymore because it doesn't make sense, or they just focus on other things that was more important. But I think to attract more people to come to travel into our destination, we need to cooperate between or create better cooperation between the businesses, offering good packages, long weekend, short weekend trips, or a week packages, so people can come here and they get a pickup maybe from Tromsø into our region, accommodation, a guide, good meal, and then of course so that they can enjoy mountain biking in our region. So I think that's more or less all about what I can say about cooperation. And for me, it's super necessary to do so, since without cooperation, I think it's quite difficult to survive and to increase the businesses. Thank you very much. I didn't use so much time, just 10 minutes, but I had 20. So if somebody has some questions, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, George. Any comments or questions? We have a good 15 minutes almost to discuss cooperation for enterprises in the biking sector.
I can as well say that we have as well a cooperation with companies in Tromsø, because we can see that there are services in Tromsø we don't have. So and it makes sense because you may come through Tromsø into our destination to do mountain biking, and I think to cooperate as well in a larger destination really makes sense.
We have two hands. Seija, you can go first, please.
Yes, I was actually thinking Henna Palosaari is here, and I was thinking if she wants to say something about this welcome cyclist sign, because Georg was referring to this certification of companies, and that is not really a certificate, but that is something like that. So if Henna, you are here, I think I saw your name. Could you say something about the Finnish label, or how do you call it?
Yes. Yes, so we have the welcome cyclist. I hope you hear it because my connection is pretty bad at the moment, so I apologize already if it's breaking up badly. But yes, we have the welcome cyclist badge for the companies, and it's nationwide, which should help that we don't develop our own welcome cyclist certificates in different areas, what was happening before. So now we're all trying to bring that information on one page. So it's even easier for cyclists when
Are you somewhere Arctic remote place?
Now we have difficulties hearing you, Henna.
Sorry, do you hear me?
Yes.
Now, yes, again.
Okay, I'm not sure what you could hear from
that we have nationwide.
But yeah, I can.
Perhaps
yeah,
Henna,
so
if
we
you.
have the
Yeah, go ahead.
Nationwide, but I think.
Perhaps you can post something in the chat.
Mm.
Can you post something in the chat so we
I
can follow?
write there a little introduction.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
All the basic information and where you can find more details about the program we have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Arild had a hand raised.
Okay. Yeah, thanks, and thanks, Georg. I was wondering, because this project is kind of a cross-border project, and you were talking about cooperation, but often in between Norwegian companies. Can you say something about, have you done any cooperation with Finnish or Swedish companies, and eventually if there are specific problems with that?
Yes, so we don't have any cooperation in mountain biking with Finnish or Swedish companies. But what we are doing as a destination, we have a lot of cooperation with Enontekiö, with Finland, with our neighbor destination. And we are working with a new brochure where we show both regions together as one region. And we will launch this next week probably. And we did workshops in our region where we invited Finnish companies, and we got invited from Finland to visit them, to getting better known. And we see that as a big for us, that we are so close to Finland, to Kilpisjärvi mainly. It's a big added value for our region. It makes our region much more attractive. And I know there are companies who are cooperating already cross-border between Kilpisjärvi mostly, but as well the bigger region in North Finland and with our region. I see that Finnish companies are mostly interested in our region because we are so different, and a lot of tourists want to see the ocean, the fjords, the mountains. There is a bit less cooperation from our side towards Finland, but we are working on that, and I think yeah, we are quite active on this cooperation side, but not on the mountain biking so far.
Are there any other comments or questions to Georg? I could ask a question regarding like the price levels. When you compare price levels in Norway with price levels in Finland and Sweden, we all know that they are quite big differences in costs and also in salaries among the cyclists. So how do you see that as a challenge, and how do you think when you welcome these different nationalities?
Yeah, I think first of all, I think Kilpisjärvi is probably not as cheap as other parts in Finland. So the price level is not as there's not such a big gap, and but we don't have the experience that people go to Kilpisjärvi because it's cheaper. We don't have this. Of course, companies are worried in our region when we offer the same offers like snowmobiling as an example. And then, of course, you could run those kind of activities cheaper in Kilpisjärvi or in other parts of Finland. So, but I think so this gives us from in Norway the challenge to be better, to produce better offers, to have such a good activities packages that is worth to pay more for it. So but then yeah. So I don't see that it's a problem right now. I don't see that.
We have in the chat, we have also a connecting question. What is the plan to get bike traveler who buy his food from grocery stores and make his food in wilderness and sleep in tent or hammocks? These are the most who do bike traveling, and the way how they do it. So that's a segment also to consider that want to do it perhaps the budget way. Biking.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something that happened, and I mean you see those bikers along the road, probably mostly going to the North Cape. When we see them in our region or coming from the north and traveling to Lofoten, other places, and they're welcome. And we don't right now. We don't put any resources into this market. So we are focusing on this mountain biking since we see us as a destination that makes where we could increase amount of this kind of bikers mostly, and the others they will come anyway, and that's fine. Yeah, but we are not putting any resources in there right now.
Seija has a comment or question.
Yes, I like to answer to Sami for this question on our project part, because I think it's exactly what we are trying to do is to create a product which can be sold and where there is accommodation. I know this type of traveler who don't buy anything except something from food from grocery store, but I think what we are kind of planning is to have a product where a person buys accommodation, guiding maybe, and also different kinds of services, and that's a different type. I know the type who rides really long distances and uses tent or hammock, but that's of course okay if somebody wants to do that. But I think it's of course a little bit more extreme, as I think it was somebody said about the soft adventures. Was it Andreas or somebody? So I think it's more for this kind of soft adventurers who don't want to carry everything with them and who don't want to be so self-sufficient.
I hope, of course, through this workshop, through this project, that we can develop this kind of you call it tour cycling or more, and to make it attractive and show the possibilities in the region, what you can do, where you can stay overnight, and maybe some added services you can use. And I hope as well through this, what I mentioned earlier, this kind of certification for our companies to get more biker friendly, to have things where you can lock your bike, and you can have like a small workshop or tools to fix your bike, so that we get more attractive for this kind of bikers, so that they will stay, even they pay for accommodation. Yeah, and maybe they do something more, to visit some museums, the northernmost whiskey distillery in the world, and etc. So there are many things to do, and I think this will increase a lot in the future.
Danieli has a hand raised.
Yes, heading into the summist question, and more in the general sense, I think a route network can be developed which serves different customer segments. So it could be people who don't sleep in a tent at all, sleep only in the restaurants, and like for instance, some of the routes I've been working on, I managed to, just by the luck of the existence of the infrastructure, to make it in a way that they serve both, on many customer segments at the same time. So that can be done even in the Arctic areas. The number of the services has been really surprising, but also, like, I'm sure in northern Norway and northern Sweden as well, like many of the wilderness infrastructure, the lavus, lean-tos, lab huts, wilderness shelters, they're quite often located in beautiful nature. Like, the location is not only defined by the reindeer herding culture, which is often the case as well, but they're quite often a beautiful location as well. And yeah, taking advantage of the both can be sometimes done at the same time.
Thank you. I look at the time now, and we are about to proceed to the final summary of today's webinar. But before I give the word to Seija, I would like to tell you about that Still project has a website. That's the address is in the chat. We also have a Facebook group, and we are on Instagram. So please follow us and friend us, and just spread the word to the world that we exist, and we are making a good effort to embrace biking in the north. And also we have a newsletter. We have produced our first newsletter a month ago, and the second is coming in December. So if you want to be added to the mailing list, please drop me an email. And the address is also in the chat. I can add them here at the end as well. So Seija, the final floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. And thank you so much for all the speakers. I think it has been really great, because we still have 50 people as we had in the beginning. So it has been really interesting for, I suppose, for the listeners. You have been able to keep them. And yeah, I think we also, our project got a lot to think about, and a lot something material really for the coming workshops, because of course we are not really people who will do the products, but this can feed those who are those who really make the products out of this in different regions and areas. And I think we have today get a great nourishment for those purposes. And also in ideas to helping to create networks, cross-border cooperation, cross-border contacts. And what Göril said about that it is always easier to sell something that you have experienced yourself. And I think we have done this kind of preliminary work, that we have tried these routes and we have ideas how they look like and what is the experience when you ride along those routes. I think also it was Chris who was pointing out this, that bikers see and feel more. And I think that experience level is extremely important. We have not really touched that so much, but it's really different to travel by bike than by car or other quicker means. And also this, what Andreas showed that they have done in Dalarna, I think these descriptions of the routes was very, very good. And that is something we can also help in those who make the real routes at the end. We can help them to make those and make the descriptions. And that has been our purpose in this project, to try to find out the possibilities and to describe the routes and the possibilities. And so that is, I think, what really helps us to go forward after this day. And there has been, of course, very important points, as there was this long discussion about this safety and security issues. And that's something we have to think about also in our plans and on the routes we have been planning. There are some parts which might not be so suitable for this kind of activity. But as Taneli said, that it's still quite safe in the Arctic regions and quite silent roads, so it's not really a problem in many parts of the areas which we have planned. And this idea that packages are really needed, packages make it easier for people. I think it is really important thing, and that is something which was kind of a starting point for this project. I have myself taken part to Central European package tours, like individual packages, that just traveling with my friend, and accommodation has been reserved beforehand, and luggage transportation has been arranged, that there has been this kind of safety phone. So I think that is something that is really good, and for these soft adventure seekers especially, not any extreme, who want to see and feel more. What I also remember of the speeches was Andreas' comment that keep it small. That might be something that we could think about, because small routes, small circles, round routes could be really interesting and good in that sense. And this cross-border aspect was quite well emphasized in Nina's speech, for example, about this Visit Arctic Europe, that there all activities in the project are done for the whole area. And also this Arctic bus routes, which I'm really interested in, because if it works, it's really good addition to the transportation network in these areas, exactly what we are talking about. And then there was a mention that we should work together with neighbor on the other side of the border, and that is, of course, as was mentioned in the beginning, that it has been hard in these days. But that's something. For example, we had this Tornio River area, and there are more silent routes on the other side of the river on the neighboring country, and in other parts there might be silent routes and good roads on the other side. So we should plan it like going in two countries, and that can also be something quite good addition to the experience if you get 2 or 3 countries on the same trip. And yeah, there was also a mention that you can't force people to cooperate. Yeah, let's see how this cooperation goes on. This has been some kind of challenge, I think, in some earlier projects, that this kind of company network has not been easy to create. But it would be really important to have that kind of thing. And then somebody, I don't now remember who it was, but I think it was Göril who emphasized the uniqueness of the area, that we should raise those issues that are really unique. And like Midnight Sun, it's something really which can be combined with this kind of cycling roads are more silent in night time and it's light time as well. So that could be one advantage. And also Sami culture, and it was referred in Arild's speech. I think it was this old post road. There are those kind of histories and stories which should be related when branded these routes. It's also very important and attractive. And about this infrastructure which Hans was referring to, I think it's something that could be discussed. Maybe it has been discussed in Inari-Utsjoki area, for example, in Utsjoki where the salmon has left, or the salmon fishers are not there now because it's forbidden now to fish. And they have these structural changes and they are applying money for that, and they are really much putting on effort to get this new infrastructure for cyclists especially. But I would like to try to share still this Roger's picture. You can see the heart of the Arctic now, I suppose. So I think it was quite nice, this heart, and this branding is of course needed, and how to brand this and how to market this maybe together, for example with Tanel's project, and to go on with this kind of wider perspective. And I think that we have framed our project as a pilot, so which means of course that there should be continuation, and then we should have kind of wider cooperation also. Now we don't have companies, and we started with kind of open map and started to look at, we don't have municipalities as partners because we started to look at it really openly, that where are the best possibilities. So then I think that is what we can continue with, to have wider group and more precise plans. But now I think the word is free and floor is yours. So Roger has hand up.
Yes, I just want to continue that what Seija just said. Why is the heart a good symbol? Because in the visit Sweden, you have the heart, and also it's in the region that is called the Arctic Europe, and the heart is a symbol that has much sensibility value. So there is many things that are connected to the heart, and that's why I chose the symbol.
Thank you. And Arild?
Yeah, thanks a lot from all participants and presenters for you made my day. It was really interesting to hear it. And I think the main goals for this project is actually to have kind of mapping the route, descriptions, say something about product development and how to market it. But I think also we have to discuss or think about adding something new, and that is, should we give some advices in relation to development of the infrastructure, and then in relation to safety, for example. So of course we can change the world, but maybe we could say something if that's an agreement among the stakeholders in this, that this is necessary. But anyhow, thank you a lot from all participants.
I think Hans has a good comment here in the chat, that it's important to lower the threshold for entry to allow more people to enjoy bicycling touring. This means good, safe infrastructure, comfortable accommodations, and convenient communications with public transportation. Everything on our wish list, I would say.
Yeah, and maybe not only wish list. I think we will discuss these issues with the municipalities when we start these regional workshops. And I think there has been already some discussions at least in Finnish side about this, that there are really maybe contacting like our Finnish ELY center, which is taking care of the traffic issues regionally. So I think discussions with them would be really important from our project point of view as well. Anything else? Does anybody want to share whatever related to bike? Daniel's hand is up. Yes, please.
Yeah, just to, it seems that no more comments are coming, just to raise everyone's spirits, and just to remind that I've toured across 3 continents and over 30 countries, and I think I believe that we have a chance to make the Arctic one of the most popular, most visited bike touring areas in the world. So I believe in it. I work for it. I get my monthly pay by doing to make that happen, and it's exciting to see that this is something that has got so many people together here today, and I think the future will be really bright.
And Taneli's marketing has been well present in Finnish media as well. There was just again an article in Maaseudun Tulevaisuus where Tanelis and ours were presented. So it's good. And Johanna has hand up, please.
Yeah, there was a great idea from Alec de Wilder from Pajala Camping earlier in the chat. He suggested that we could create an inquiry for the bikers who stop at their place, and they could divide it to the bikers. And maybe this is something that also other accommodation providers could share with their customers. Of course, we need to decide that what we want to ask them, but I think it's a good idea.
That could be done next summer. I think we can discuss in the workshops, for example, about that. Yeah, great. Still 5 minutes to discuss whatever thing, and there are still 48 people.
I would be interesting if there are any entrepreneurs here, any service providers that could enlighten us a little bit about your everyday with bikers or cyclists, bikers or cyclists, how we define it, but people riding a bicycle. Perhaps not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure there are, but they might not be eager to share their thoughts. But of course, you are very welcome to take contact with us later. Hans, please.
Yes, hello. This was a great webinar. I'm glad there was such great participation in it, and that there's so much interest for working with bicycle touring. It's really important that we really think about the sustainability of what we're trying to do. Of course, we know that cycling is a sustainable form of recreational, sustainable form of tourism, but we also need to ensure that we're providing a sustainable infrastructure, both physically, socially, and economically, when talking about these kind of things, and to really have that as kind of the lodestone, the guiding star to this kind of project, to think about how to obtain this kind of bicycle tourism in a sustainable fashion. I'm glad to, of course, always participate and help out with anything that I can, and our organization is always willing to participate as well. And I would also encourage you to look at other international organizations, such as the Eurovelo organization, which I know that some members or some people participating today are familiar with. It's an international organization of bicycle routes. I think that there's probably a lot that you can learn about how to work with long-term management agreements, for example, between partners in a project like this. So I encourage you to reach out to the Eurovelo organization to learn more about how to work with international collaborations on bicycle routes.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, I think it has been really a good day. And I can see echo of my voice somehow, but anyway, yeah, I think it's time to thank everybody and think about how to go on from this with new project. And I know there is really a boom in cycling tourism, and there is a new project or a new application for a project in Eastern Finnish Lapland, and there are also partners from Norway and Faroe Islands, Iceland, and so on. So it seems that it's really booming, and let's keep the boom on. Thank you all. I think we can stop here. And there is coming more information in the chat, but we can check that later. So
thank you all.
Yeah, goodbye.
Bye. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye bye.